Hello and welcome to number 2 of my mini workshops, which I'm offering on Instagram and Facebook during this lockdown period. They are open to everyone and anyone. Families can do them together, and we're going to be using recycled materials and any art materials you have around the home. So if you haven't joined me before, you can see the introduction first and plunge straight into this one if you wish. And today we are doing a little study in tone and perspective. Tone, of course, is the use of varying strengths of light to dark, and perspective is exploring how you create distance in a picture. Okay, so let's get started. Now you can see here I've prepared 2 different pieces of paper. The top one here is another upcycled envelope, which I've divided into 4 with masking tape and primed in the way I showed you in video workshop number 1. Below it is cartridge paper, which is another option if you have it. And again, I've divided it with masking tape into 4 different sections. The reason for this is it gives you a chance to practice on 4 different little scenes. So it is less precious and hopefully you'll be less anxious about it. So for the reasons that I can home in a little bit closer and focus on it, I've chosen this one here so I can get closer and show you what I'm going to do. Now what you need for this is some black paint or black ink. I've just got some Indian ink here. Or you can use acrylic, watercolour, whatever you've got. Only a tiny amount in that little pot. You don't need very much at all. And brushes. That's just an ordinary round brush. This is a flat one. Depending on what you've got at home, it doesn't matter which, because you're going to be varying the pressure to vary the width of those stripes there. Okay? Now, first of all, decide on where your horizon line is going to be. In this case, it's going to be the top third. So we put a pencil line in there where the horizon line is going to be. Let's get a bit closer to that so you can see what I'm doing. So there's your horizon line there. And then you need to put in 2 little sails. So I'm using a little bit of masking tape and cutting my sails to stick down on the scene. A couple of triangles. Try and make your sails go in the same direction so they're not going apart from each other, they're actually going the same way. So there you have another sail there. Okay. Then what we're going to do is start to do those stripes. So I'll use this round brush because I think that's what most people have got at home. And what I'm going to do is paint stripes. Again, there's a picture going from dark gradually to light to give the effect of distance. And you'll notice they're also getting narrower as they go further away towards that horizon line. So as we paint each stripe, we're going to leave a little white gap in between and add a little bit more water each time to the brush. That is 1 brush's worth of ink. I haven't added any more ink to the brush. So each time you're going to dilute it a little bit more to make it get paler like that. Right, so I'm going to dip my brush in paint like that, stroke it off. Dip just the point of the brush in. That's all you need, just a point like that. And then we're going to use the side of the brush to make the widest stripe. So paint it across there. You can go over the masking tape, that's fine. Do your first stripe. Dip just the point of the brush in the water, just a tiny point like that. This time a little bit less pressure around the side of the brush, so it is a little bit narrower, like that. Dip it a tiny bit in the water again, a little bit less pressure on the brush. Leave little bits of white if you can, because they look like waves. Dip the brush again, a little bit more water, a little bit less pressure across those little sails. A little bit less and a little bit less pressure. So less paint, less pressure. So you can see it's gone gradually from dark to light. For that top third there, we're going to do the wet on wet technique, which is where you just wet it with water. Try not to touch the last bit of ink. If you do, it doesn't matter, it runs a little bit. Wet it like that. Dip just a tiny point again of the brush into the ink and paint along the top like that. Then wash it a bit more. No more ink, just blend it with the wash brush like that, and you'll get a really moody sky coming down. If your first one is all a bit of a mess, it doesn't matter. You've got 3 more tries, haven't you? So keep doing that, repeating it, and you'll find it will get easier and easier. In this example, I just want to show you the effect on the prepared envelopes with the emulsion paint on, using this time the flat brush. So again, wet the brush, dip in just a tiny amount of ink on the end like that, and we use the side of the flat brush to do the first line. Tiny bit of water, lifting the pressure again, and you can see the brush strokes of the emulsion are starting to show through, and this time I tilt the brush at a slight angle as I paint to get a slightly narrower line. Tiny bit of water, and then I begin to tilt it so that it's just the edge of the brush this time. Tiny bit more ink in there. It gets narrower, so you can see it's picked up all the grain from the brush strokes of the emulsion, which gives it a whole different look. Sky, I've got a bit of ink left on my brush, that's fine, but essentially you wet it with just clear water and a tiny bit of ink onto there. See, it goes a long way. You can make that moody sky. It's a chance just for you to play, basically. And I think I might make those lines a little bit stronger. So add a tiny little bit more ink over the top so that my white sails will show up a little bit better. Okay, so you can see the effect there. So now that's all there is left to do, is just to peel off our little sails, like that. And I think you'll all agree.
That was easy.
Anyway, if we go back to the original one, if you wanted to use the offcuts from other examples, you could create a border. Put it round the edge like that, stick it all down, put it in a frame. So something like that. It could make a really nice little graphic image. So thanks for watching. Please post any comments, or indeed any of your images or pictures that you've created. I'd really love to see them. Thanks for watching.